Yo, what's up everyone? This is Exterminator, and today I'll be reviewing the new Wilderness updates and providing you guys with some feedback from both myself and the PvP community's perspective, and hopefully provide some suggestions that can revive the area that we all came to love and enjoy over the past 10 years. The goal of this video is not to review the new features in depth and talk about how everything works. I'm not going to go and talk about the new Slayer mobs and talk about the new threat level system in detail, because there's already a bunch of YouTubers that have done that. The goal of this video is to provide you guys with a unique perspective that you may not have seen before. So, just to give a high level overview, the Wilderness has been reborn, to quote the way Jagex has put it, and has undergone a massive update that changed the functionality, look, and purpose of the entire area. The biggest change is opt-in PvP, which essentially allows players to pick and choose when they want to be attacked, with the exception of warbands and cursed wisp harvesting. They also added in a bunch of new Slayer creatures and a new threat system that's supposed to make the Wilderness more dangerous. Over time, you're supposed to receive more damage from the environment, and random Slayer mobs are going to spawn and hit you with damage, but the true danger of this is really up for debate. So, the new update came with a semi-rough start. There were a bunch of bugs and a bunch of different complaints being submitted by a bunch of different players, but a lot of these bugs were either hotfixed, proven to be untrue, or going to be addressed by Jagex in future updates. And overall, the general game population seems to be okay with the update. It's not a grand slam that everyone's going crazy over, but a lot of people do seem to be moderately interested in training Slayer in this area. But who knows how it's going to go in the future. So, after going and seeing all the reviews from the general player base on Reddit and Twitter, I decided to go poke around the PvP community and see what they thought about the new update. And overall, the reviews are very mixed. You have some Pkers that support it fully, you have others that like certain pieces of it, and then you have others that hate it altogether. And to be completely honest, different Pkers participate in different activities, so it's going to impact us all very differently. But one thing I did find in common was that everyone thought that Jagex should continue to add to this update, and they shouldn't be finished with what they released already. They need to add more to the PvP side to make it more entertaining, and this is the one thing that all of us tend to agree on. So, before I move forward, I want to set the record straight on one big thing. The new Wilderness update strictly eliminates Pking from the Wilderness and has a minimal impact on actual PvP. These two words are often used interchangeably, but there is a huge difference between the two. PvP is when two players intentionally engage in combat with one another with the objective of there being a winner in the end, versus Pking, which is essentially when one Pker attacks another Pker that doesn't have the ability or desire to fight back at that time. Now, certain PvP encounters, like going out into the deep wilderness, or hunting at Chaos LE and Lava Strike Worms, and being able to bump into a random Pker and have a fun fight, things like that are probably done, but overall, the PvP is still live in the Wilderness and it's still well, and you can go to World 2 Edgeville and do a whole lot of the same stuff that you could beforehand. You can still risk fight other Pkers, you can still have wars against other Pkers, and you can participate in the low risk skeletal fights and rune fights and have a lot of the same interactions that you could before. Now, with the opt-in system, it's Pking that's completely dead. You can't lure, skull trick, or bully weaker Pkers as easy as you could beforehand, except during warbands and wisp harvesting. I just had to get that off my chest because I saw a whole lot of people complaining about the update and just hating on the whole thing, and I'm just it really doesn't impact PvP. It really just kills the other half, which is Pking. So just had to get that off my chest. So when it comes to my personal opinion on the update, I have a pretty mixed view, and I can definitely see there being both pros and cons to it. So first off, I do like the fact that it reduces the chances of new players getting lured. I hated seeing new players that just turned level 90 or level 100 go out to the Wilderness on a Slayer task and lose their Nox and then quit the game because they don't know what to do. So I'm kind of happy that those situations aren't happening anymore, and I'm also pretty happy that the Wilderness got a breath of life into it, because When you look at the graphics of beforehand, they were pretty lacking compared to other areas of the game. So it is pretty nice that this area finally got an update, but I still think there's a whole lot of work to be done. So, to be completely honest, I think there are a lot more cons than pros to the new wilderness, and I think there are a lot of people out there that agree with me. So, first, this update devalues a lot of historical achievements that were once very impressive. A lot of drop logs, slayer kill counts, and other achievements are so much more easy to get now, and they don't hold the same value. And I don't think this is fair to all those players that went out and grinded these things before this update happened. Another big thing that really bothered me is the fact that this update completely destroys the value of certain expensive items. Not too long ago, Searing Ashes were going for about 130,000 apiece, and now, last time I checked at least, they're going for about 47,000 a pop, which is over a 60% decrease in value. And trust me, you guys better believe that the PvP armor and rev drops like the Statius Warhammer and other things are going to decrease in value too, since there's going to be a surge of these items being brought into the game with the new update. So, the biggest thing that I personally think Jagex missed on this is the fact that this update isn't going to help the RS3 player base expand at all. This update won't attract any new players, and we all know how ungrateful our current player base is. Everything is about efficiency scape, and the moment people realize that the XP and loot from the Wildy is subpar to other strategies, the wilderness is going to be a ghost town, and neither the Pkers, skillers, or PVMers are going to be able to enjoy it, and it's basically just going to be another barren wasteland like it was before, full of annoying mobs that nobody wants to deal with. So, how can Dagish right their wrongs and help this dying area and community of the game grow? Good question. I have a few ideas and examples. So, first, they need to create perks for people that have opt-in PvP enabled. I was very shocked whenever I went on the website on the release day and saw that there were no perks for PvP whatsoever. Like, the perks don't even have to be mind-blowing or too overpowered, but they need to give people a reason to actually want to have PvP enabled. Like, even with me being an experienced PKer, like right now, there's no reason to have PvP enabled because it's just no risk. I mean, it's pure risk with no reward whatsoever. And even for someone that doesn't know how to PvP, like, what's the reason of going out and learning how to PvP when there's no benefit to it? So I think they should just find a way to balance it out and implement some of the rewards like you see here on the screen. Like I said, nothing too overpowered. There can be simple stuff like increased rare drop chance, exclusive pets and drops that only come whenever you have PvP enabled, bonus XP, there's a few other things that could just help give people a reason to actually want to have PvP enabled. So, I think there should be some incentive to do Wildy PvP beyond just having the mode opt-in active. Like, I think once you have opt-in enabled, I think there should be some additional rewards and incentives beyond that, so people actually have a reason to want to go out and do some of the wilderness tasks again. One idea that I've been sitting on for a long time is creating a wilderness reward shop similar to Death's Store for PvM with a special currency that allows you to buy cool rewards. I think this would be a great way to attract new and older players into PvP because after looking at some of the Rune Clan data recently, I saw that a lot of the retired PKers from warbands and other times are still actually playing the game, but they just don't do PvP because there's no point in doing it because they got burned out. So I think this reward shop could be a nice draw to bring new and returning players back to the PvP scene. The currency can be similar to Reaper points with it only being obtainable by completing certain achievements. And right here on the screen are some ideas I came up with. They obviously don't have to be these exactly, but this is just a way for me to just start some brainstorming on what these achievements could be. Now, we all know how much RuneScape 3 players love to flex. Like, people are willing to spend hours grinding for cosmetic rewards, monetary rewards, and game-wide recognition for their accomplishments, and to be posted on the RuneScape High Scores page. I think the key to making these rewards is to make them intriguing, but just not too overpowered or best in slot, so the general player base won't complain about being forced to having to go into the wilderness and do these activities. I also think these activities and these rewards should be like long-term based, so don't make these rewards too easy to get, and You also want to implement some cool monetary rewards so people have a reason to keep coming back after they complete the rewards the first time. So, overall, I think there's so much potential for the PvP scene to coexist with the new wilderness system that we have today. Some of the ideas mentioned earlier, coupled with some TLC from Jagex, could go a very long way. Some additional things they could do to help revive the scene is to make warbands great again. Warbands is one of the only activities that still draws players out to the wilderness today, and at its peak, it was one of the most fun, adrenaline-pumping experiences that was available in the game. People willingly looted and spent hours battling afterwards, but unfortunately, this fizzled out due to people maxing their skills and the minigame just becoming very repetitive over time with no updates. Warband's PvP is pretty dead today, so updating the game with something like an invention tent like I have on the screen and some other things can help give it a much needed boost of life. Another thing they could do is to make a 1v1 focused PvP minigame with unique features and some rewards similar to what I mentioned earlier for the Wilderness Rewards shop, and also add some high scores on the website to give people some incentive to want to participate. And last thing, and probably the biggest thing, is to make PvP more mainstream like it is on old school RuneScape. Jagex communicates with these players all the time, like the big names, the content creators, all of them, like they always are communicating with them and creating polls and just working with them to make more desirable updates. And they never do this on RuneScape 3. So doing this would be a very big step for them moving forward and will help the game improve tremendously in this area. And I almost forgot. The last big thing I would say that they need to do to help revive the scene is to fix some of the broken mechanics in RuneScape 3 PvP. Because trust me, EOC PvP is pretty broken right now. Like there's so many imbalances and bugs, and the power creep is unreal. Like you can legit one-hit somebody in full tank gear with the new weapons and capes. So I think everything should be scaled down a little bit, and honestly, the whole system could use an overhaul. But that's an entirely different topic for an entirely different video. So that wraps up the main points that I had in the video, and I know it was kind of long-winded, but I really wanted to make sure that I took the time to highlight the Pkers perspective and made sure the voices in the PvP community were heard, because Jagex doesn't really tend to care about those kinds of things. And I also wanted to make sure that I gave some ideas on how it can be improved further. Once again, nothing that I talked about in this video will require them to go back on anything that they did. Like everything can be an improvement in addition to the wilderness, and all this stuff that I suggested can coexist with the wilderness that we have today very easily. I'm not against the opt-in PvP system once again. I just think that things need to be added to it to make the wilderness a more equally balanced PvM and PvP spot. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. And even if you have criticism and think some of the stuff that I said today was stupid or horrible, like let me know. I respond to all comments. I take criticism very well, so feel free to let me know what you have to think in the comment section. But yeah, I was working on a PvP guide, but that got put on pause after I heard about the updates. And after seeing the new updates, I really just don't know what to do, because I'm a very busy man in real life, and I really don't want to go ahead and take the time to finish this video if no one's really interested in it. So if you would be interested in seeing me finish the video and releasing it, go ahead and like the pinned comment that I have pinned in the comment section, and just let me know, because believe me, like I will not finish that video if there is no demand for a PvP guide. But yeah, apart from that, I plan on dropping a Wilderness Pking video that's focused on the Wilderness Volcano, and I also have a Wildy Memories video dropping soon, so stay tuned for both of those. If you like what you saw, go ahead and like the video and subscribe, and thank you guys once again. Until next time, peace.